I think he was the first person in our Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken. A beautiful call from you. I'm glad you're back on the show, Norma, and a very beautiful and typically generous call for you to make. Paul Robeson was born more or less on this day, probably yesterday, in 1898. And for those who don't know him, which is a surprisingly large number of people, you really should study more about him. He was the voice of God before Pavarotti. He had a voice like no other. He was taller than almost anyone on the planet. He was such an athlete that he became the first black American football player at a national level. He was an actor of Shakespearean brilliance. He was a film star. He was bigger than the Beatles in his day. And he lost it all because he stood up for peace and against war, because he refused to kowtow to the prevailing power in the United States. He loved the Soviet Union. He loved China. He loved Africa. He spoke more languages than you'd think it was possible for anyone to be able to speak. He could speak, write, and read in 30, 40, 50 languages fluently, could sing in those languages. This was a rare genius, a pure diamond. A diamond individual was Paul Robeson.